So today is December 7th, 2021, which is not significant in any way except that it's 127 Film Day. So 127, 12/7, happens 3 times a year on December 7th, January 27th, and then July 12th. So the first 2 are in American date notation, and then the third one is in European date notation. So it's just a little film photography, not even really a contest. It's just a blog that if you're interested in film photography or 127 film format photography, you can check that out. But today I thought I would take a picture. It has to be taken today, and enter that. So it made me want to talk a little bit about my 127 format film camera, which is this Vest Pocket Kodak. So this particular model is the Vest Pocket Kodak Autographic Special. So the Vest Pocket Kodak was the first camera that used the 127 format film. It was released in 1912. The autographic model came in 1915, and this particular model, according to the serial number, was manufactured in 1920, which makes it just over 100 years old. So some features of the Vest Pocket Kodak Autographic Special. Of course, on the back it has the autographic window where you can open that, use the stylus if you actually have autographic film, which has been discontinued for many decades. But when it was available, you could open that little door while the film was, after you take a photo, take the stylus and actually scratch some notes in the margin in between the frames on what you were taking your picture of. So autographic film, of course, is not available now, so it's just an interesting footnote in history. But on the front here, the interest in this particular camera is actually fairly obvious. If you close that back up, compare the size of it to a modern smartphone, you can see it's actually smaller than a modern smartphone, or at least this particular model. So it was called Vest Pocket, so the idea was you could just put this in your pocket or in your purse or something like that, whatever you had, carry it around, and you hardly even notice it was there. And then when opportunity for a picture arose, if you were an amateur photographer, you were all set. You just take that out, take a picture of it. Whereas if you had a more professional setup at the time, you were using maybe glass plates, large camera, tripod, and so on. Couldn't just carry that around, but this, you could just carry it around in your pocket and not even know it was there. So in use, it has 2 shutter speeds, which is set here, 25th of a second and 50th of a second. So for practical purposes, it has 2. It really has 4. It also has bulb and timed mode, which this is a handheld camera. The idea was you were shooting it handheld. There's no tripod mount. If you wanted to use one of those modes, you would have to set it on something to take it. So they're there if you need to take a longer exposure, but in general, you're shooting this handheld. So on other models of the Vest Pocket Kodak actually don't have f-stop here. They use a description of the lighting conditions. It's cloudy, or for taking a portrait, and so on. So you have to kind of guess at what the f-stop is. But with this particular model, it has f-stop, so it's just a matter of using your handheld light meter to determine exposure, and everything works great. The shutter release is here, so you just press this and to take the picture. The viewfinder here actually rotates, so you can rotate it up, and you really need to look down into the directly into it, so looking from the side doesn't give you a good view. It's in any way, it is very hard to compose your shot. If you're used to using a modern camera, DSLR or mirrorless camera, it does take some getting used to that very small viewfinder. But you can rotate it for portrait or for landscape. You just rotate it for landscape, again looking down into it, or for portrait, rotate it this way, close the camera. It has to be like that. Otherwise the camera won't close. So 127 film. 127 film was released as a downsize to film sizes. It was directed at amateurs. It made the film cheaper because there was less of it. It was actually physically smaller, and also it allowed for smaller cameras. So all of that appealed to the amateur camera market, and it was again always targeted at amateurs. Enjoyed reasonable popularity. Was released again in 1912 for the best Pocket Kodak. Production of it continued up until 1995, wherein it was discontinued by Kodak. 135 film had pretty much taken over both the pro and the amateur market by then, and film in general was on its downward trend, moving into the digital age. But it actually came back and is still available. So a company called under the brand Raripan, you can get new, starting in 2014, you can get new film in 100 speed, 400 speed, black and white, and then also you can get color negative, which I don't have and wouldn't use with this camera anyway. You can also get color negative film to use as well. So in very limited types of film, you can still get 127 new today. The other way to get 127 is actually to take 120 film, which is physically larger in both dimensions, in width and in length, and cut it down to size so that it will fit the same film form or same size as 127. So doing it that way, you can get any film stock that is available in 120 and either have it cut down or cut it down yourself to use in your 127 film format camera. The negative size for 127 film is 1 5/8 by 2.5 inches. So it's a rectangular format, a little bit wider than the familiar 3x2 135 film, but it is slightly wider, but not much. It's large enough that you could actually do a contact print from it and still have see reasonably well what your image is, but it benefits from enlarging. And in the manual for the best Pocket Kodak, Kodak advertised selling a variety of developing accessories for developing your own film, for chemicals for developing it, as well as an enlarger that they advertise as specific for this film format to enlarge to. They called it postcard size, which in other contexts Kodak has called that 3.5 by 3.25 by 5.5. They didn't say what you could enlarge it to, but they just called it postcard size. So you could actually get an enlarger and enlarge your own negative, develop your negatives at home, and even enlarge them and make prints for them. So my interest in this, of course, is just the novelty of taking pictures with a 100-year-old camera. And today I'll be taking pictures. Hopefully one of them will turn out, and I'll enter it in the 127 film day for December 2021. So to load film, we're going to do that now. It's a little bit tricky at first. You have the unlock here. So So you slide that to the left and then gently take this off. You have to remember this is a 100-year-old camera, so everything has to be done gently. So we're going to use 400 film. This out. So the roll of film will go on the left and it will be exposed, and then the exposed will be on the right. I'm going to take this and just roll that up a little bit, and the notched ends have to be on top because that's what's this winder is used to advance the film. And usually done this a couple of times, found it best to just start from the exposed side, unroll a little bit, get that in there, and then it just slides in. You want to push it down, and then of course this notch here has to be lined up. And then you advance the film, you watch through the window, until we get to the first frame. So now we're ready to shoot. So I'm going to take it out now and shoot 8 exposures. That's how many I got on that roll of film. And hopefully one of them will come out and I'll use it for 127 film day. So we'll get into developing in a future video. That's enough for today. It's cloudy out, so the lighting isn't ideal, but that's okay. We'll give it a try anyway. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have a 127 film that supports 127 format or uses it, please let me know in the comments below. Hopefully this inspired you to get that out and give it a try. Let's keep those old film cameras alive. If you enjoyed this video, have a great day.